Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Rebecca Randall. I'm head of reference here at Southbury Library. I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's such a beautiful, almost fall day, and it's a perfect evening to enjoy some poetry. 3 years ago, we were so excited to announce Faith as our inaugural Poet Laureate.
In this room.
In this room. And I think I was standing maybe but I want to thank all that you've done. Short term, I'm just going to introduce Faith for you all. I know most of you know Faith, so this is probably information you've already known. Faith Vicinanza is a published poet and visual artist who has resided in Southbury since 2016. Ms. Vicinanza has published at least 4 books of poetry. I think it's more like 6 now.
6 now.
Yes. At the time this was written, with 3 more on the way. So how many more on the way at this
2
point?
more in progress.
2 and more in the, yes. So 6 plus 2. She is the host of the longest weekly poetry reading in the state history. And she also created and directed a 5-day National Poetry Championship in Middletown in 1997 and the Connecticut Poetry Festival the same year. She was a nominee for the State Poet Laureate in 2000. And am I wrong? You were the town's Artist of the Year last year, right? Lifetime Achievement Award. Yes.
For the correction.
We were there.
Right. I want to thank you all for joining us. And in a month, we will be hopefully nominating our next Poet Laureate for the next 3 years.
Yes.
I want to thank you all for joining us, and everyone, let's thank Faith Vicinanza.
Wow. I'm so thrilled to see all of you sitting here. I'm just honored. Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what this has meant to me. I'm going to do some poetry and do some Q&A. Yes. We do have an open mic sign-up sheet. So you have an opportunity to also read if you have time. And I know that a number of you are going to be scooting out of here to go to the play in town, which starts at 7:30.
7 o'clock, 7.
Oh, it starts at 7 o'clock. That's fine, I'll be done in 30 minutes. You'll get to be with me at least.
Yeah.
So in 2001, I lost my brother. He was 43 and he took his life. So he committed suicide, and it was devastating to me. And I didn't expect to survive that. It like pulled the rug out from under me and really almost destroyed me personally. And then in 2006, I lost my husband. So I write a lot about loss and sorrow. But I promise it's not going to be all dark tonight. But after I lost Peter, for many, many years, I was everywhere that there was poetry. I'd go to 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5 poetry events a week. I was all over the state, and I was traveling all over the country. And then when I lost Peter, I became very isolated, self-isolated. And it wasn't until I got the rumor, that Southbury was looking for a Poet Laureate. And I went, I think I better start writing again. And it had been a while. So I was painting. And as many of you know, I now have a gallery in town. And but I was immersed in painting and staying out of the public eye. And about a year before the announcement went out that you could submit yourself for consideration, I started seriously going through my old work and writing new work and really focusing back on my writing. And I published a book about 2 months before the Poet Laureate process completed, and there were a handful of people who were being considered. And then then they called me to tell me that the decision was in my favor, which I was very honored. And it's been a tremendous experience for the last 3 years. It's made poetry back as my #1 focus, and I do a lot with it. I'm coaching people. I run a writing program at the gallery that a number of you are participants in. And that program actually started here at the library. So very early on, as a part of my role as the laureate for Southbury, it was about advocating poetry and providing programs for the community. And I was running a program once a month here called Write It, Polish It, Publish It. And we did that for 2 years, well, almost 2 years. And then, of course, the flood happened and the library had to be shut down. And, but that program carried over into what is now called Sunday Writes, and we meet every first and third Sunday, and a number of you started at the library program and now participate regularly in the Sunday Writes program at the gallery. And it's been an honor to get to know all of you through your writing and to share that journey with you. So part of what has been, not hardcore expected, but sort of expected of someone in this role is that if the town comes and says, we want you to write for a special occasion, then that's one of the things you do, is you write for a special occasion. So the very first thing that the town asked me to write for was the 350th anniversary of Southbury. And it was in the first year that I was the laureate. So I wrote the following piece, and it was based on, at the time, Kevin Billmeyer was part of the town infrastructure, and he was the head of economic development. He provided me with a lot of information about Southbury's history in order to support this. So this is called The Anniversary. It isn't that we forget readily, though we do, and often, distracted by everyday comings and goings, and the date, that date, comes and goes, a birthday, a husband's death, a friend's, a decades-old anniversary of one sort or another, a celebrated journey taken by 15 families who'd come by river to take refuge beneath a white oak, considered by some a symbol of peace, a symbol of serenity, of rebirth. It can be difficult to remember even when it is personal. Was it a Tuesday? Was it a Wednesday? That day a fire left your heirlooms in ashes. More difficult still when it's disembodied, a photograph, words on a page, an oral history handed down generation to generation, embellished perhaps or clouded from the telling and the retelling, ritual, the one true alchemy to bind us one to another, to our history, remind us where we have been, give voice to our ancestral strivings, their sacrifices, their victories, losses, remind us how the guideposts of our future were laid, intended or not, a future they could not have imagined, molded over the centuries, a place that honors them, the Pudatuk that welcomed the newcomers and those who came seeking a fresh start, a place that today cradles us, their legacy. Our Southbury boasts famous as well as infamous inventors, writers, factory owners, educators, heroes, farmers, politicians, some family names still recognizable who were here from the start, some names lost to time. Millers, shopkeepers, those who built the roads, those who broke ground for schools or made land preservation their singular mission. Leaders, firemen, artists, janitors, mechanics, the gardener, the poet, the peacemaker, the musician, the child, anxious but brave who stands firm against the schoolyard bully, the preacher, the minister, the midwife, the good Samaritan, who never gives his name, her name, a momentary angel. And aren't we all momentary angels helping a neighbor, carrying the torch of selflessness, handed down and handed down and handed down to this moment, this fragile moment in time, gathered as we are to remember where we have been and to hold tight to those threads of hope in these chaotic times, as our founders did, as our mothers and fathers did, as we can do, as we must do, as we celebrate our journey, the past 350 years, as we step bravely into each new day in front of us, bringing with us a rich history and a dedication to our future as a community, as we celebrate today, this place we call home. Thank you. So, of course, I'm very pleased to have your approval when I read a poem. But what I will say is, just to kick back, listen to the poetry, save your applause, let me get through the reading, just enjoy the words, and we can celebrate the reading at the end of the reading. So, I was subsequently asked to write a second piece for Ed Edelson. So many of you know Ed Edelson. He used to be the first selectman of the town. I think he was the only ever Democratic first selectman of the town. And he was running for state representative as the Democratic candidate. I was participating in his campaign. Sherry was several of you in here participating in his campaign. And he is known not only for his politics, but as somebody who's been on a project for many years about when Southbury said no to the Nazis. So he's written a children's book, he's done a documentary, he talks about it all the time. And one of the things that he put together was that he got a referendum to commemorate the 1937 effort for Southbury to stop a Nazi youth camp from being built in Southbury on land that was purchased by the German-American Bund, and commemorating the name of the 1937 pond in honor of that history. And that pond is actually on the property of Heritage Village. So he asked me to write a piece as part of the dedication of the pond. So it's titled, When Southbury Said No to the Nazis. 1. Ask me to bring you a rose from the overgrown garden, pale petals laden with morning's dew. I'll slip into boots, canvas gloves meant to protect, till the soil until I banish all manner of weed and thistle, expose concealed beauty to a late spring midday sun, and only then will I snip the fairest one to appease you, to delight you all through the lazy afternoon, remind you just how far I'll go for you at the simplest provocation. 2. Ask me, however, to stand beside you against hatred, against prejudice, against misguided words and deeds, to be counted among the determined, the courageous in the face of vitriol, and I will not do it for you. Not you alone, but for you and for myself, my neighbor, yours, my children, their children, knowing it is a steep climb, knowing we may lose, but knowing what is right, what is necessary. 3. Ask me about forgiveness, if I believe even the darkest of hearts can be saved, and I will stumble over my reply because I am only human. Because forgiveness is not so simple, because sometimes we must fight, because sometimes we must stand firm against oppression, and sometimes we must put down our swords, our pens, our vengeful words, find a way, find a middle ground, forgive even the darkness. 4. For today, let us sit at the water's edge. And this was intended to be read next to the pond, but it was a nasty day and we ended up inside. Let us sit at the water's edge, not to be lulled into forgetting by the calm pearl gray surface, reflecting a November sun, but to quietly celebrate this moment, a moment given by every moment that came before, and be grateful for a time when a town stood together against prejudice, against hate, chose the right path over the easy path, not aware they were making history, knowing only what was right. So I write as well when I'm teaching or running a workshop on Sunday mornings. I also write, and I'm going to read two pieces that were the result of writing prompts that I did with the writing group. And the first one is called A Prayer for Today. I'm just looking for the second one. I'll find it in a second. A Prayer for Today. If I have renounced Catholicism, do not believe in God. Believe instead in an earthbound spirituality, in nature. Uphold that planet Earth is sacred, and that everything in the universe is a manifestation of the divine. You are no more or less the embodiment of the divine than am I, or the monk, or the banker, or the landscaper, the CEO, the child, as able-bodied as any to hear my confession. And so I confess to you as I might to a rabbi or a priest, that I fear I may lose myself to indifference, compassion, a vague memory as empathy cowers in dark alleyways. I fear I'll quell my outrage, in time silence my voice, accept my misgivings, and no proportion of repentance or reparations will bring me to the water's edge. Let me sift wet sand once more through eager fingers. Let me sleep again unsheltered, humbled beneath a night sky. Allow me the grace to see the miraculous in all things. Forgive me my self-doubt. This incantation, this prayer, set afloat on a north wind that you, whomever you are, might come for me, to me, remind me I am not alone. So I'm going to read a couple of poems. I put out a book called Arturo as a result of coming back to my writing, which I did before I applied for the position of Poet Laureate. During my tenure, I put out a collection called Shall We Dance, which has to do with the first 3.5 years of my ballroom dancing, which I went into without any prior athletic experience or dance experience. So needless to say, it was quite a journey, and it still is quite a journey. And by the way, if you've noticed that I have one foot in a boot, it's called a stress fracture, and I got it in dance class. But it won't stop me. All right, but I am working on 2 collections at the moment. One is another chapbook called Brother, at the insistence of Irene, who said it was time for me to put that collection of my brother's poems together, so I'm working on that. And then the other book called Breathe is coming out as a full formal book collection about family. So after my brother's suicide, I had a complete breakdown. I was under medical care for about 6 months. I couldn't function. And I didn't write for a while, and then once I started writing, I couldn't stop. And like for the first year after his death, it was my life raft. And same thing happened when my husband died, right? The first year after my husband died, I was writing furiously about losing my husband, and that's what art does for us, right? It tethers us. It gives us a light in the dark. So these are some poems from that time. This one is called Pyre. Laura phones the one who lives next door to your now emptied house. Fresh tracks in the snow, they came to shut off the power. Temperatures have not risen above freezing in weeks. I refrain from calling Matsu Valley Electric. Let the pipes burst wide in revolt. You cleared the trees, opened the ground, poured concrete, roofed and raftered. Every beam bears your mark, window casings made by hand, each cut board smooth and lacquered, a fitting frame to your Wasilla Woods and Matanuska Susitna Mountains. I ache to think of anyone else walking floors you laid, leaning over garden beds you planned and planted, driving past the rock walls you built, stones you carried, a backdrop to someone else's every day. And what if your blood seeped into the subfloor, into sheetrock and 2x4s, impossible to wash out? I want to take that 11-hour flight back across 4 time zones, torch it, your house, garage, shed, all of it, a belated pyre. I want to watch it burn. And this one is also from the writing program that I do at the gallery. It's called Life Raft for my brother. Would it be too much to say, that is what you were, whether you intended it or not? And I am quite sure you did not. Never aspiring to be a guardian angel or an angel of any sorts, always in as much trouble as me, if not more. Or did it just seem so from here, even though I was the only one always tempting death? Too often intentional, though mostly it came down to a willful disregard. My inner child, too wild, too angry, too daring, more than willing to be done with all of it, the disappointment, the perversion, the endless lies. It wasn't that you were purposeful, you were simply there when no one else was, teaching me to drive a stick, sharing my outrage at our father's betrayal. You, no longer a lifeline, gave me just enough then when I needed it most. You, who I tried to save, who I would have given everything to keep safe, who succumbed to your demons, some of which haunted us both. Some I learned to live with most days, some I learned to go to war with because it was necessary, though it seemed impossible, but I was never alone. Within me these days is a missing always, that part of me that loved you, loves you still. And what remains of me is never certain I'll make it. I wake another day, still dream, still find the occasion to hope, still worry about something or other, fuss over money, despair over unkept promises. I'm afloat barely in this world that goes on without you. Never one for ritual, shrines, a talisman, or touchstone. It seems necessary of late. I'm in need of a life raft, one that will bear the weight of sorrow and the weight of all that is dark within me. You are no longer here. I have no choice but to build it for myself. All right, a couple of lighthearted. Let me lighten it up a little bit. I have 14 grandchildren, and I've written just about all of them. I think I've written about almost all of them. So this is my granddaughter, who is now 13, amazingly. And it's called, she used to call me Mina. And then at some point she started calling me Grandma. And I was furious. I want to be called Mina. No, because everybody else was calling me Grandma. But this was my personal endearment with her.
Yeah.
I don't know where she picked it up from, but from a very young age I was Mina. Then suddenly one day I was no longer Mina. Heartbreaking. So this is called Mina's New Apartment Castle. And her name is Sophia, so we used to call her Princess Sophia because that's a popular children's character. The princess, grandchild 12 of 13, asks, "What do you want me to build, Mina?" Repurposing Jenga blocks for something a bit more passive, or at least less competitive, like less likely to produce a crying tantrum or at least less competitive, less likely to produce crying or a tantrum than a game of strategy might, not to imply that she is prone to either. A castle, I say, distracted with something or other, and it isn't that I don't adore her, would give my life for her if ever I had to make such a choice, but I'm busy. When she replies, Mina's new apartment castle, I stop what I am doing. This is my 4th address in 2 years, and I would not call a single one of them Mina's castle, especially with how reticent I am this time to unpack. The happiest I've been in the last 2+ decades was when I had no possessions, except what was on my back and on the bike for that 3 months, no permanent address, not that the house of the moment wasn't waiting on my return, but it doesn't take long on the road day after day to put a good distance between you and your stuff. I did not miss my artwork, my furniture, my car, my books, and there was that time I lived away in Minnesota for nearly a year while working at the Mayo Clinic, the local Marriott Residence Inn, holding just enough of my belongings for me to dress each day for the office or a casual evening out. Read a bit now and then, listen to a few favorite CDs over and over, coming back to Connecticut once or twice a month. I missed family and friends on occasion, kept myself busy with meditation groups, art classes, did not keep a car, walked everywhere. There is something about living apart on a bike, someone's couch, a borrowed bed, a hotel room, meals eaten out, no kitchen, no bathrooms to clean, no children, no toys to pick up, or somebody else's laundry to do. But then there is this way in which a 5-year-old views the world, and for the moment I say yes. Mina's new apartment castle, while she drags out her wooden train tracks as she so loves to do, symbolic perhaps of a nomadic life, as if she too will be restless, as if she too will never call one place home. Actually, I'll just end on this one. So this is for my oldest grandson, and some of you know him because he works for me at the gallery. So this was written for Justin when he was born, and he's turning 30 years old next February. Oh my God. So when he was born, the doctor said he wasn't going to live till the next day. And I would love to find out who that doctor was in Yale that got involved and told Waterbury Hospital to airlift him to Yale, and they performed emergency surgery and saved his life. And he lived in the hospital for a month on, machinery, and eventually came home, and he's turning 30 years old next February. So this is called Your Father Says You, I'm going to end on this because this is a very upbeat poem. Your father says you are beautiful. Her tan legs, weary from the weight of you, now stretch to breaking as she heaves and trembles and turns in her pain. We wait the hours she pushes, strains to bear you incomplete. Your father will say, even after they open you sideways, far wider than you opened your mother, that you are beautiful. Your father, her lover, my son, will say it again, again, and again, intending you to life, to the living. It is an incantation, meant to fill in the spaces where dreams should have gone, fill in the chasm in uncertain hearts, provide some relief from scalpel-edged moment-to-moment considerations. We are all afraid. IV tubes in and catheter out, your arched back aching for the seashell nook of your mother's arms, the familiar beat of your mother's heart, replaced by the beat of machinery, while your father says in early morning dim hospital room and in late hours, you are beautiful, you're beautiful, and you are. Thank you. And thank you for coming. It's been a wonderful and unbelievably fast 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. and it's been an honor. And it's an honor that you're all here celebrating this, this momentous end of this 3-year tenure. So I'll take a couple of questions and then we'll have some open mic readers. Any questions? Yes, Kelly.
What piece of advice would you give to the incoming Poet Laureate?
So that's an interesting question. So if you didn't hear it, it's what advice would I give to the incoming Poet Laureate? And, you know, when I came into the position and I understood that I would be asked to write commissioned work, I was a little anxious about how do I do that and do it and not lose my voice, right? Not give up my voice. And I don't write a lot of political work, but I'm extremely politically active. If you follow me on Facebook, you know I'm very, very vocal and outraged at the moment, as a number of us are. So the one thing I would say is no matter what position the new laureate finds themselves in, that they stay true to their voice, right? Because it's their voice that we are inviting into this honored role, right? It's their voice that they presented to us and we thought they would make a good advocate, because that's part of what we do, right? We advocate for poetry as an art form, as an important art form. So yeah, stay true to their voice. Thank you, Kelly. Any other questions? Okay, yes?
Are you more drawn to, because your work is very broad, in other words, dark, and then some very, the lighter dancing. Are you drawn more to one than the other, or is it?
Most of my work is dark. So the question is, am I drawn more to writing, the dark versus the light? I write a lot, I write mostly dark. And so, it's what's kept me going, right? It's what's given me a voice when I just want to, pull the window shades down and sit in the dark with my thumb in my mouth, because I'm struggling so much with the loss. We, at our age, right? A bunch of us here are of age, right? At our age, we've experienced loss, and it's just a common denominator. And I think it's important to speak about it. I think it's one of the things that I find permeates the American diaspora, right? I'm not sure that's the right word, but is this expectation that you move on from grief quickly, that you just get on with your life. And my brother's been gone for 25 years, my husband for 20 years, and you don't ever move on from it. You learn how to live with one foot in the light and one foot in the dark. And sometimes I feel like I'm 75% in the dark and 25% in the light. But it's enough light that I don't take the light for granted. I think that that's one of the positive things about acknowledging the dark, is that when I see the miraculous, when I see the divine, I'm grateful, because we don't get to always be standing in that, right? We stand in what it means to be human and to struggle, mostly. I don't think anybody has it easy. Nobody has it easy. So I just think it's part of the human experience. It certainly is for me, and I can't avoid writing about it. So I do write a lot of dark stuff. Yeah. Yes?
Do you find it cathartic then?
Oh, very. Yeah. I'm like hollering into the night sky, basically. Anyone else? I'm so grateful that you came. So we're going to take a little 2-minute break. I'm going to go look and see who's on the open mic list. And I know some of you have to run to the play, which starts in 20 minutes, right? I think it's called The Fantastics. The play is The Fantastics. You're going to that, right?
I went yesterday.
Oh, you went yesterday, and how was it?
Fantastic.
It was fantastic. The Fantastics.
Fantastic.
It was
fabulous.
It was fantastic. It's at the,
It was wonderful.
yeah, but it's at something, what's the Playhouse, Playbox, or what?
Press box.
Press Box. It's behind the Voices office
Plus
building.
it is
Right.
So Jim, you want to kick us off?
Kick you off.
So Jim Kelleher is a very accomplished and well-recognized Connecticut poet, and it's a thrill to have you here tonight.
Oh my, I drove down from Goshen because I had to be here for Faith. And this is the first time in 4 months that I put on long pants, socks, or a shirt. So I feel like I'm chafing a little bit. But Faith, I brought you a dancing poem.
Awesome.
I'm gonna try. I first performed this poem 30 years ago, 40 years ago. As Faith would say, it seems like it was just yesterday at one of her performance workshops. We were trying to interject multiple arts so you weren't just standing at a lectern reading, okay? So I also want to try something because when you stop trying things, it's probably time to fold it up, you know? I need a certain rhythm to do this, I think. So I want to ask all of you if you would help me in this performance, become a part of it, and just put your hands together to keep a very soft beat so I can have that in the back of my head. That's good. So keep that. This is the Dancing Man. And I'm going to sneak peeks at this because the memory is suspect anymore. I'll hold it. I dance with the women to the boom boom beat, and I want all the women so round and sweet. I am muscle, I am motion, I can slide my feet. I am hard devotion. Dancing is my treat. I twist and I boola, I sway like a tree. I laugh with the hula girls who smile at me. I will holler with the women with whom I love to be. I will two-step to heaven and be happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Concept.
Lee,
Okay.
please join us.
Yeah.
Lee, I met Lee at the library when I was running the program here, and she's become a very active part of my life.
Yeah, you're one of mine too. Okay, does this have a title? Yes, it does, actually. A Song Sung in My Veins. It's one of those days when you want something new, a playlist that will light up your heart. But every time you wade into a friend's list, you find yourself returning to the songs that have already been sung in your veins. You change up your stir fry with fresh ginger and a splash of maple syrup when all you really want is a bowl of comforting tapioca. It's one of those days when you drift from one thing to the other, go for a walk, noodle on an essay, clean up the closet, but all the while something else is tugging at your edges, something you need to do, someone you need to call, a voice you're yearning to hear, the voice of someone who knows you better than you know yourself. Somebody who is no longer here. It's been a year now, and your bestie for 55 years is not coming back. How could a year slip by so fast? You feel lost. You're trying to figure out your next move. Your life is unsettled. She's the person you need to talk to. You know she would tell you to listen to your heart. But you want to hear her say those words. But she's not coming back. No, she's never coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Please welcome Irene, who's another regular at the poetry program at the gallery.
Can we ask that they use the mic?
Yeah, please use
It's
your.
kind of hard to hear.
I'm so sorry.
Is that okay?
You can raise it up a little
No,
bit.
yeah, raise it up.
Is that, how's that? Is that all
That's
right?
better, yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay. I think it's got a
We
mind
gotta-
of its
now-
own.
Now we have to do the whole thing. Hold on.
Okay, how's that? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a poem I wrote for my mother, and it's coming out in the Bellevue, what is it called? Literary Review. I've been trying to get published there for about 10 years, and they finally said yes to one. So anyway, this is called Birdhouse. After the family of chickadees fledge, I vow to clean out the sticks and straw, flower floss, stray pebbles for next year's clutch. But months go by, it's spring again, a bird disappears into the small hole. Years ago, my magician mother measured yards of pink fabric, cutting along the pattern's lines, fashioning pieces together to become the dress I wore to junior prom. I stood on our step stool, looking down, thinking it would always be like this, Mom kneeling on strong legs, pinning, straightening my garment's hem. After my father left and my brother died, Mother moved to a birdhouse, one room where nothing was cleared, dishes piled in the sink, boxes of receipts, unopened mail, a walker beside the broken TV, a landfill of photos meant for albums beside her bed, the sagging mattress with sheets she wouldn't let her visiting daughter change. Today in my yard, a mother swallow carries a morsel of worm and disappears into her small home. I cannot see them inside, but hear as she arrives, their delight. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
And we're gonna wrap it up with Mark Lee.
Hi, everybody. And, I want to thank the town of Southbury for making such a wise choice and for Faith being such a really, persistence really not enough of a word, but always being, leading the way to the community. And poetry community, which is, in our society is not given the due that it should.
No.
And, I really appreciate it. And it's not enough time to say thanks the right way, but thank you. So this poem is somewhat seasonal, and Faith's heard it many times. Maybe you guys have heard it before. Sweet corn. The ancient one opens a flaxen aperture. Crinkled light bends, spills, fevered spores infect me, compel me to husk you. Pull back your green dress, brush aside soft silk that cradles taut niblets. Butter your perfect skin when you are hot and ready for my mouth. For you are a vegetable, and I am just a man. Thank you.
Anyone else wanna jump up here?
How do you hold that?
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the library. Thank you to the town of Southbury. It's been a wonderful journey, and we'll just continue in a different vein, and I'm looking forward to finding out who's gonna be the next Poet Laureate. We'll be here in October to celebrate that appointment, and we'll support them vigorously.
Do we know
Yeah.
who's running?
Yes,